It's overtime in Jeff City as Missouri lawmakers try to hash out a proposal sweet enough to keep the Chiefs and Royals in the Show Me State. The governor sets the agenda of the special session and actually expanded its scope to try and get the stadium deal and a couple of other major measures through the state Senate. Senators stayed up till 2:30 Thursday morning in Jeff City, hashing out measures to pass on to the House. They approved a bill providing more than $100 million in aid to storm survivors in St. Louis and pushed forward a plan to fund hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects across the state. Then there's the stadium proposal, right? The final sticking point for the Senate. The past plan paves the way for bonds to cover up to 50% of the cost of Arrowhead renovations and a new Royals stadium. Governor Kehoe's hoping that last bill passes through the House and gets to his desk quickly because the Chiefs and Royals have until June 30th to decide if they'll take advantage of Kansas' offer to use star bonds to pay up to 70% of a stadium's cost there. The lack of an announced decision so far actually encourages some Missouri lawmakers trying to get a deal done.
I firmly believe if the teams wanted to leave Missouri, like just really wanted to get out of here right now, they would have already done so with the offer on the table right now from the state of Kansas. I think them holding off on that shows they would like to remain in Missouri, but we need to have something there for them.
The measures now go to the Missouri House. Democratic House Leader Ashley Aune of Kansas City tells me any attempt at property tax relief, which is attached to the Senate stadium bill right now, could be what she calls a poison pill in the House. We'll see what happens. Let's get to the heart of the matter with our roundtable of journalists. Please welcome KMBC9 political reporter Michael Mahoney and Rudy Keller, deputy editor with the Missouri Independent. Let's get to it, gentlemen. Rudy, we mentioned the governor met behind closed doors with lawmakers and even expanded the scope of the special session last week. What else is baked into some of these measures?
Well, the key thing was some disaster relief for St. Louis, where they had a devastating tornado. The governor added $100 million of new disaster spending targeted only at St. Louis. That quieted some griping from Democrats and became the key to getting the whole package passed.
And we know, Mahoney, that the session was supposed to start in the morning on Wednesday, and then this deal making, these talks took a little while longer, and then, as we said, stretched well into the night.
Yeah, and I think it's real clear that when Governor Kehoe expanded the call of this legislative special session and added several more elements. Originally there were 3, then it ended up being 12, I believe, including this increase in money for disaster relief over in St. Louis. He was counting the votes, counting the noses in the Senate, and as Rudy suggested, they needed to increase the number of folks that are willing to trade off increased relief tornado damage in St. Louis and some other things for stadium support. So that was a big deal and probably a big win for Kehoe, the fact that he realized he didn't have the votes with the initial call of the special session and expanded it to get more money over to St. Louis, brought some Democrats and Republicans from over there onto the stadium bill. Yeah, that's a good point. And, you know, Rudy, supporters of the stadium bill kind of walking a tightrope, especially last week and maybe even this coming week into the House with those disaster funding measures and appropriations on the table. You almost optics-wise have to tackle those before you look at a stadium deal, I imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of the complaints from Democrats were that you're making $1.5 billion available to very wealthy team owners, and that why shouldn't they be paying for their own stadiums while people are living in cars or in tents on their lawns in St. Louis trying to protect what's left of their property. So, yeah, the optics of the order of things were important. So the appropriation bill passed first, and that was followed by the bill for the stadium. The result was that there were only enough votes from Republicans to get halfway there. The Democrats were really needed for that purpose.
Yeah, and it's no secret, Mahoney, that Democrats did not like the way the session ended, the regular session, with Senate Republicans pushing through the abortion ban amendment, repealing sick leave. Do we see any hesitancy with the House going along with some of these proposals? Well,
we'll see this coming week. The other thing I wanted to mention very briefly is in this appropriations bill that Rudy was talking about, there's $48 million for a mental health hospital to be built here in Kansas City. That's a big deal, and a nuclear reactor research program in Columbia was very important to State Senator Steve Weber over there. That helped bring him into the in line to pass the stadium bills. Those were two of the key components.
And Rudy, as we said, the clock is ticking in Missouri because you have the deal in Kansas on the table at the end of June.
That's right. The STAR bonds that Kansas is offering would pay about 70% of the cost of new stadiums. And Missouri's offer is about 50% of the cost, but that doesn't include what might potentially be coming from the local government incentives. Everyone expects, especially for the Royals, that they will be looking to see what kind of offers they get from Clay County and what kind of offers they get from Jackson County if they commit to staying in Missouri.
We'll be watching that very carefully. Rudy Keller, Michael Mahoney, thank you so much. Count on KMBC 9 News to track your tax dollars and the impact of Missouri's special session. We'll bring you updates every step of the way.